All right, well, here's a little bit about how my brain works. I like stuff tidy and orderly, and I want this firewall area to look really, really nice when I get it all buttoned up here. So I have wiring harness for my fuel injection here. I think there's a module that clips into here that'll have to be mounted somewhere. I've got that little ARB manifold for my breather tubes. I've got electrical for my fuel pump, fuel filter. I've got that fuel pressure regulator here now, so I'll kind of figure out where we're going to place that, how I'm going to get my fuel line up here. I got a lot of planning to do, and I want that all to look really good before I button her up, so I'm going to probably pause that for a minute. I'm going to get back under there and get my twin stick thing fabbed up. I'm going to put my timing chain cover back on, my water pump, my oil filter, or my oil pan. I'm going to start getting the engine block closed back up. I think at some point I'll have to pull my plugs out so I can rotate the block to find top dead center on cylinder 1 to get our alignment right for when we put the distributor in. But so yeah, so today's plan is, first, I've made a mess in the garage, so I got to clean that up a little bit. Item 2, I'm going to get under there with a marker and measure and mark where my twin stick arm needs to be so I can get that welded up. I'll get that welded up, painted up, ready to go back under there. We'll do that fab work around the hole in the tub where it needs to go through. Then we're going to get back on this block. So that's our plan for today. And the rest of the wiring and the plumbing and all that will come together when I have some time to kind of really lay things out, figure out how I want them to look in here so that when you pop the hood on this thing, everything looks nice and tidy and orderly. So that's what we're shooting for. Let's go get after it. That didn't take long, and that's much better, yeah? So again, here we go. Here's my shaft, and this will be the end that goes farthest back into the hole in the transfer case. And then once I get that figured out where I want it, I'll position this guy. We'll weld along here and along here, just like it was before, and then figure that out. So I'm gonna scoot under there right now. Probably won't be able to bring you with me, but I will just measure this out, take my marker, mark where I want this to be, and then we'll come back out and have a look at it. All right, well, I thought maybe you did want to come under here with me, so here we are. And this is the hole I'm talking about, and these are the 2 little bolts that go in those holes on the shaft to lock it in. So I've got them both all the way back up out of the way now. And so there's our shaft going back in like that. Now I probably ought to figure out some way to figure out where I'm at with those bolts. So let's tighten down a smidge and see if I can maybe figure out if I got one in a hole. Maybe best thing to do would be to pull one all the way out. That's what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna take a toothpick or a little screwdriver or something and put it down in from the top to figure out when I got my bolt hole lined up. So stand by, I'm gonna go get something, I'll be back. Okay, so I got my shaft in there and I took a little screwdriver and dropped it down in the hole so that I could tell when I was in there all the way. And now I've got my bolts here just hand tightened down to hold her in place. I did put a mark on there with my marker. So now we can figure out where our arm needs to go. And I'm gonna put a line on where I want the bottom center to be as well, so I can kind of figure out how I want it straight up and down. Because it does look like this is on just a little tiny bit of a lean by the time I look at my bolt holes in there. So again, I just want to make sure that I'm getting my arms straight up and down in relation to where they're going to be when that hole is in there. So it looks like it's off a smidge, but
can turn this a little. Maybe I need to tighten my bolts up some more. But anyway, I think I'm in pretty good shape. So I'll double check that because I can move this more than I thought I'd be able to. So I'm gonna tighten my bolts up maybe with a wrench and make sure I got those where I want them. And so, because that's critical, is I get those holes lined up. So because I can't see over the top, I got to do it by feel, and they get a little tight as they get down in there. So I'll mess with that a little bit, and then I will just basically slide this up in here. And again, I don't know if you can see it all that well, but you can see on my transfer case there is this little lip right here. So that'll determine as far forward as I can go, and I'll obviously want to leave myself a little bit of breathing room there. Up the top it's not straight, so I think right about there is going to be about as far as we can get this thing, and then that'll determine where my shifter is going to sit. Like it or not, that'll be where they go. All right, well, I did my thing under the Jeep there and marked my position of my lever. So you can see I put a line where I want it to go, and I put a line in the center where I want it to be lined up to get it straight up and down. So we'll do a little spot weld to hold it, get under there and make sure it's all good. Possibly, quite likely, put my hole through up to get my actual levers in there, get everything positioned, make sure we're good, and then I'll weld it up nice and tight. But for now, I'll just spot it in the ends, make sure I can test fit everything and everything's good before we commit to the full weld. But there it is. That's how it's gonna go. All right, well, here we got our end piece there. Got her chucked up in the vise, and I put a C-clamp on here so that I've got this end lined up with my line. I've got my center line lined up. We're just going to give this a spot or two of welding with our little wire feed welder here. Not really going to nail her down for good, like I said, just going to make sure we have it where we want it so we can test fit everything, and then we'll weld it up good. So we're just going to give her a quick zap here. There we go. Like I said, just a quick little spot in each side just to hold it in place. And then assuming we get it where we want it, we'll weld her up all the way along that edge and call it good. All right, well, while we wait for our little welding job to cool off, I thought I'd open up our new fuel pressure regulator. Fresh in from good boys at Summit Racing. See what we got. So I ordered a 90-degree fitting and a straight fitting. Yay, more stickers. I got stickers. I could paint this Jeep with stickers. Alright, so let's see what we got here. Pump, filter, regulator, fuel rails. Okay, got it. Okay, well, there we have our regulator. Just
More fittings, and this will be our gauge. Huh. Interesting, it's liquid filled. I did not realize that. But anyway, there's our gauge. I suspect that will go right there. And I suspect this is what we adjust our pressure with, or this. And then input, output, and that should be our overflow, or our return line, I believe. Yeah, there's kind of not a ton of, oh no, that's a vacuum port. Okay, so we got in and out, return, and in and out. So return's down here, out is over here. Adjustment screw is up there. So in, return line, out to the fuel rail. Gauge goes here. There are at least some directions. So there we go. Gonna hook that up. I'm gonna show you one other thing we got from Summit Racing. Let me put this stuff kind of back in the box for now. I'm not ready to hook it up yet, so I'll put that back and then show you what else we got. I got some more Summit Racing stickers. Indeed. Another one of those wine vouchers, $100 wine vouchers. I could have bought enough wine to stock my wine cabinet for good, except can't ship any of this stuff to Utah, so those don't do me any good. Maybe somebody wants those, toss me a comment down in there, and if you're a subscriber, send me your email, I'll send them to you. Can't do me any good. I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, let's have a look at what we got here. Okay, pretty basic, just an air cleaner, the reusable filter, and I did get it with a stud because I needed that. So I'm gonna go throw that on the engine right now and just cover that hole up. All right, well, here's a little problem. So this built out part of the side of the transmission here was where I thought I had to be behind. So the problem is I'm hitting that now and it's pushing my shaft out of alignment just enough that I can't get it in the hole. So apparently they want you to put this on when the transfer case is separated from the transmission, but I'm not gonna undo those. So what to do? I might just take the grinder, grind that down a little bit, get it out of my way. All right, well, I just took the grinder and reached up in here and ground that down just a little bit there. It didn't take a ton. And now when I go to slide my shaft in there, I have enough room to get it in all the way past that guy without any trouble. So yeah, crude but effective. There it is. It's got to go in a little bit further, but I'll put some paint on that while I'm painting everything up and paint that back up. So just needed about 1/8 of an inch or so off of that thing so I could get past it. So I think we can continue on now.
All right, well, now you can see that we're up in the tub and got my lever pushed back in there just fine now after doing a little trimming. So if I look straight down, here's about our alignment. Gonna have to take a little notch, basically kind of here, to get my levers in, and then I'll have to figure out how much throw they need. So that's what it's gonna take, it looks to me like. Okay, so here's what I've done to kind of figure out how much I need to trim. Here's my levers, and the way they're situated right now is basically this is how they'll be in the Jeep, with this side is the driver's side, passenger side. Here's my bolt that goes through that plate that I just tack welded to my shaft. Here's my actuator arms down here that link to my linkage. So what I'm trying to figure out is from this surface right here, this is the inside of my arm that's coming up off that shaft. So if we measure from there, I'm going to measure the other direction here, we can kind of get a sense of how big our gap needs to be. And if it's like really 1 7/8 or 2 inches, that's a pretty big amount of play first go. Maybe 2 inches would be best, because that would get us plenty of coverage down there. Okay, so where I'm at now is inside the tub here, and I'm eyeballing this. If I line up with that inside of my shaft, or inside of my arm there, where my arm's got to go, my lever, whatever that plate is, 2 inches puts me just about 1/2 inch past this lip right here. So I'll notch this first, kind of at the bare minimum, and then I'll get my levers in there, and then I'll see how much play or how much latitude I need to expand front to back that slot, because I don't really know how big it needs to be. Okay, well, here we are so far with my hole roughed in and my levers in place. They're just kind of gently pressed down between that arm, because there's not enough room between the side of the tub to get all this length of this bolt through there. The bolt goes through that top. So one of two things needs to happen. Either I got to pick the tub up again, or I might just drill a hole like one of these drain holes here in line with that hole, so I can put the bolt through without having to lift the tub up, and then I'll just put another plug in it, which it might not be the worst idea, because if you ever have to fix this thing in the future, you know, you don't have to lift the tub off just to get those levers unhooked. So until I can get that really in there, the bolt through there, and then get underneath and get my linkages hooked up, I don't really know how the throw of my levers is, how much more I'm going to need to adjust that. So I have to figure that out. But time to take a break for now, I think.